Alright, tell me when you're ready. Good morning, my name's Robert Weaver. I'm here this morning with David Clemmons with Nationwide. Really appreciate you meeting with us today. We're going to go over a few commonly asked questions for people purchasing a home having to do with insurance, and hopefully David will be able to help us with some of these questions. David, is it possible to be overinsured?
Sure. It's possible to be overinsured just as possible as it to be underinsured. The key thing that folks really want to take a look at with regards to their homeowner's policy is the dwelling amount. That's what the reconstruction cost is. If your home was totally destroyed, that would be the amount of money that the insurance company would pay out to rebuild that home. So it's important that that dwelling amount is an accurate portrayal of your home's reconstruction cost. Oftentimes that figure is out of alignment. If you haven't had a reconstruction cost analysis done by an insurance agent in a number of years, that cost could either be out of whack on the high side or too low to reconstruct your building. So you want to make sure that that dwelling amount is an accurate portrayal of the reconstruction cost of your building.
Yeah, and working on the mortgage side, I've seen time and time again that people are in fact paying too much or too little. The bank requires a specific amount, but it's nice to know that someone like David could help you to make sure that you are in the right program. David, what is wind and hail insurance? This is something we hear all the time, and I just think something a lot of people don't really understand.
Sure. Well, wind and hail insurance, as pertains to the home, is actually property coverage for winds and hail damage to the home. For example, and they're oftentimes split out as a percentage of the deductible. For example, we talked about dwelling cost in the previous question. If your dwelling amount, reconstruction cost of the home is $200,000 for the home, and your wind and hail deductible is 2%, well then your out-of-pocket expenses to make a claim from wind and hail damage is $4,000. So it's important that folks kind of understand, especially in this area of South Carolina, what your deductibles are, and if there's a separate deductible for wind and hail coverage.
Great. And is this unique to the South Carolina area, or is this going to be anywhere in North Carolina, Georgia?
It's unique to coastal areas. Certainly any of the coastal areas along the outskirts of the United States is typically going to have some sort of wind and hail deductible if they're prevalent to hurricanes and things like that. Obviously in South Carolina we are upstate in South Carolina, they wouldn't necessarily have a separate wind and hail deductible.
Great, thanks. And everyone's got their opinion on the economy and the government at this point in time. What's your take on what's going on and how this is changing the insurance industry? Sure.
Well, the economic situation, I think, benefits individuals, and when they're dealing with agents. It's kind of like when times get tough, it's important to rely upon somebody that you trust to provide you with guidance. And certainly insurance is something, unless you're an insurance agent, you're not going to know the ins and outs of things. So I think, in the bad economic times, it's important that you have an insurance agent that you trust and then can ask questions pertaining to your insurance policy. With regards to the question on what the government is doing and the impact to insurance companies moving forward, as you can see, the current administration is looking at totally revamping the healthcare industry, and that can certainly have a direct impact to what folks are paying, certainly on the health insurance side. But you never know if they're going to stop at just health insurance and if they're going to try to mandate other aspects of insurance as well.
Yeah, that's right. Let's see here. Flood insurance. Flood insurance is something that folks who've purchased a home here before have heard of, and for prospective buyers, they might have heard of it as well. Is flood insurance required on all homes in Charleston?
No, that's a good question. I think flood insurance is probably one of the many types of insurance that people just have no idea on. To kind of put it in short, everybody in this area of South Carolina is in a flood zone. Certain individuals are in special or hazardous flood zone areas, and if they have a mortgagee, then they're insurance. Then they have to have flood insurance. The bottom line there is it's not required by every home to have flood insurance. Even if you're in a special hazard flood zone, if you don't have a mortgagee, then you're not required to have flood insurance, but frankly you should probably look at having insurance. It's a little bit of premium that could actually save the reconstruction costs of your building in case it gets flooded. Again, that's where I would emphasize having that relationship with your insurance agent. They can give you the ins and outs of what flood insurance is, where in your particular area that you live in, how prevalent floods occur. Keep in mind that even if you're not in a special hazard flood area, there's a 20% likelihood that you're going to get flooded. So you want to keep that in mind. Again, just talk with your agent. If you don't know that you have flood insurance, if you don't know that you have to have flood insurance, the insurance agent is probably the first person to talk to.
Right. What is the process for making an insurance claim?
Well, every insurance company is different, but with Nationwide, there's a 24/7 1-800 claims number. So essentially, it's as easy as picking up the phone, dialing that claims number. There's a claims specialist that will walk you through that process on making a claim. A lot of times, however, I might guide you to just give a quick call to your agent, just to kind of bounce some ideas and hypotheticals on if you really want to make a claim or not. And the reason why I say that is, for example, if you've got a $4,000 deductible and you make a claim, then you want to make sure that the property damage is over that $4,000. Otherwise, it's because you're making a deductible, which is an out-of-pocket expense.
Right. That's really important to know. Here in Charleston, we have a lot of townhomes, condos, and so forth. Are these insured in a different manner than a single-family residence?
Well, there are some similarities, but in general, your condo coverage and apartment coverages, that property coverage is not for the external of the building. It's really meant from a wall-to-wall coverage on the inside of the condos. Specifically with condos, you're going to have an association that covers the actual building, the dwelling, and then you would have separate condo insurance which covers the wall-to-wall on your particular condo. There are some similarities again as far as liability goes on property coverage. Typically those are going to be a lot less because an association would take care of the overriding building.
Great. Let's see here. Are there discounts currently? I know that there's discounts for certain things, but say for having your car insurance and your homeowner's insurance with Nationwide?
Sure. Certainly Nationwide has a plethora of discounts available. They have discounts if you have a life policy and an auto policy with them. And again, my best suggestion or recommendation would be to talk to your Nationwide agent and get a feel for what discounts are applicable to you as an individual.
I'm going to let you give yourself a little plug here and maybe talk a little bit more about the advantages of working with Nationwide and also working with David Clemmons.
Sure. Well, specifically working with Nationwide, which is frankly a very customer-centric company to work with from an insurance perspective. They have developed a certification program called an On Your Side certification, with which each agency can commit to being more focused on customers and things of that nature. Once you're an On Your Side certified agency, it kind of denotes both to Nationwide and to your customers that you're really going over and above a normal agency or standard agency with regards to being customer centric. That means service, that means knowledge. Taking the time to explain insurance products to you and not just selling you insurance. And specifically here at the Baxter Agency, we've been around for over 35 years. We're very customer centric. We are an On Your Side certified agency, and all of our agents here are committed to that customer experience and explaining insurance and making sure that the individual has an overall coverage of insurance and knowledge of insurance for the products that we sell.
Great. Well, I really appreciate your time. Hopefully for all the folks out there, this has been informative and gives you guys a good opportunity to learn more about insurance and a really good company and agent here in the Charleston area.
Thank you, Robert.
Thank you.